Good morning, everyone, and thank you all so much for coming. We're here because we want to talk about preserving history. We want to talk about beautiful homes, like this one behind me. This house was built in 1893. It's one of so many magnificent historic homes and buildings throughout Russell neighborhood, throughout all of West Louisville, throughout all of our entire city. I love historic preservation and historic rehabilitation projects. It makes for stronger, more interesting buildings, more interesting neighborhoods. It is one of the things that truly makes Louisville authentic and unique. I spent my career revitalizing historic buildings in downtown Louisville and around the country. And I'm so excited as mayor to support programs like this, to support the restoration of buildings like this right here in Russell, in other West Louisville neighborhoods, and in other neighborhoods around our entire city. And I hope that the entire community joins us in supporting these efforts for historic preservation. Because houses like this have a story and an identity. And they help us tell our story and make us who we are. And part of that story is the beautiful facade you see behind us. And part of it is the boards that cover the windows and what's behind there, and the floors and the ceiling and the crown molding and everything else in between. And part of that story is the love and the craft and the care that went into designing and building and caring for this house for so many decades. And part of the story is the neglect that houses and structures like this suffered until recently. And we know that racism and redlining contributed to that neglect and to the needless suffering of families who once lived in houses like this, houses that should have been kept up and passed down from generation to generation, helping build and preserve wealth for families and for communities. Instead, too many of the houses like this were abandoned, and families that should have prospered struggled. But every good story has a turning point, and that's what we're here to talk about today, because that is what we're working to create together in Russell and throughout our entire city. That's why in April, I stood with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund in announcing the launch of the Reversing Redline Initiative, which Metro Council approved last December. That's why in my first month, I announced Metro government would invest more than $8 million to help people who are in danger of being evicted and help homeowners make needed repairs. We at Louisville Metro government, working in partnership with the Louisville Metro Council, represented by Councilwoman Purvis here today, are laser focused on supporting affordable housing projects and transforming vacant and abandoned lots into owner-occupied homes, side yards, and other productive uses. And on fixing up these houses and lifting up these neighborhoods for the benefit of the people who live here today and who will live here tomorrow. Metro government is doing this work in collaboration with many great community partners, one of which is the nonprofit organization Vital Sites. Vital Sites is an outstanding organization that works to bring life and possibility, and most importantly, people into historic homes and buildings throughout the city. Vital Sites provides financial assistance, technical expertise, and more to encourage investment in vacant, undervalued, and endangered properties in Louisville. Vital Sites provided funding to support and revitalize historic Whiskey Row. They've renovated 5 row houses on East Broadway and provided research assistance and support for the work to rehabilitate and renovate the historic Quinn Chapel AME Church that is in progress right now. Vital Sites does great work, and we want to help them do more of it. So I'm very proud to announce today that using funds from a prior year's budget, Metro government has committed $500,000 from the city's funds to Vital Sites. We are matching a contribution that is being made by the Owsley Brown II Family Foundation that will establish together a new $1 million revolving loan fund. This fund will help owners of historic properties like this one complete specific types of repairs to stabilize and revitalize these structures. people like Gabriel Jones Jr. and Kayla Washington. They took it upon themselves to buy this beautiful home at 2417 West Muhammad Ali Boulevard and start fixing it up. Gabriel and Kayla, thank you. Congratulations. This is going to be an exciting project. It's already a beautiful home, and we know it's going to be even more beautiful for your family, for this neighborhood, and for our city. And I also want to thank Heath Seymour, Executive Director of Vital Sites, Charles Cass, President of the Vital Sites Board, and the entire Board of Directors for their work and partnership. We are so glad to support Vital Sites' mission to save and restore historic structures through this new revolving loan fund. And this fund will focus on properties in areas of our cities like this, where structures are more likely to fall into disrepair because of a history of disinvestment. And while the loan fund is independent of Metro home repair programs, it can be paired with funding from these other programs to amplify the impact. I also want to recognize Savannah Darr, Louisville Metro's Historic Preservation Officer, for her hard work. That includes leading historic property surveys of Chickasaw and Portland neighborhoods, obtaining grant funds for the restoration of the Quinn Chapel that we talked about earlier, and more. And of course, a huge thanks to Christy Brown, who is contributing to this work through her family's Owsley Brown II Family Foundation. And here with us today, representing Christy and the Family Foundation, is Chief of Staff Regina Blake. Regina, please join us for some words, and thank you so much for your support.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. I want to again thank the Mayor Greenberg, and your team. The vision that you have for preservation and leadership, your amazing staff, Savannah Darr, Laura Grabowski, the Metro Council, all of the team that it takes to work together in these crucial partnerships. It's difficult work to get programs like this that are innovative and much needed up off the ground, including Christy is very grateful to Jim Lindbergh and his team at the National Trust for their leadership and for helping oversee some of these partnerships and making this possible. The Vital Sites Board of Directors, Ann Arnsberg, Val Jones, and so many others, Keith Runyon, have worked tirelessly with the staff, Charles Cash and Heath, to make this possible. Christy Brown's not able to join us for the press release today, but she sends her love and her commitment to Louisville through the pins that she's giving, so please make sure that you check them out. As you can see, health in all policies is illustrated in the pin to serve as a reminder that all forms of health are interconnected and need balance in our community and lives. Our stories, our memories, our lives are rooted in places. Caring for our historic cultural places has had a profound impact on our country's built environment and all forms of health by building a mission around the basic truth that our health is connected to our spaces. Decades of advocacy and investment have fundamentally changed the way we think about our surroundings. The connection between places and our psychological, social, spiritual health has been established after many decades, and human health is back in the center of mainstream planning, architecture, and design. Christy Brown is grateful for this Vital Sites vision. This will be something like an affordable wellness plan to help support the cultural, economic, and psychological health of Russell residents and all Louisvillians. She knows that this is an innovative way for Louisville to grow resources of health for the sake of themselves and the whole community at the same time. As the important stories of our historic buildings are protected, we are able to safely build on the vision for a healthy Louisville. This program is designed to reduce displacement pressures while making basic repairs to prolong the life of structures, working with owners to focus on revitalization that can preserve healthy neighborhoods. We're so thrilled to share this innovative progress for preservation with all of the passionate preservation community. They've all worked tirelessly to reaffirm the importance of sacred places. Our cultural health that is represented in these buildings, in this built community, before us and for us. We want to continue to be partners in these important programs, and we need your help on this journey so that we can take this work even deeper in our community. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to introduce Heath Seymour, the Executive Director of Vital Sites, and have him explain more. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Mayor Greenberg. And we're so happy that your schedule happened to open up so that we could do this announcement in time for Preservation Month. May is Preservation Month, so it's a wonderful timing here at the last day of the month. Also, thank you, Regina, and please send our appreciation to Christy Brown and for the generous matching grant that really made this possible. And also, we need to thank folks like Carol Jones-Clay, Keith Runyon, Charles Cash, and Jim Lindberg have been previously mentioned, and also former Mayor Greg Fisher for their efforts to establish this fund. So Vital Sites was established as the Louisville Preservation Fund about 10 years ago, and that was to help save and finance Whiskey Row. And around that time, some asked, well, couldn't something similar be done for smaller projects? Why aren't we doing something for smaller projects? Or maybe for housing? Or what about West Louisville? There's so many great homes all throughout West Louisville, great history, all sorts of buildings. So why isn't something being done there? This is a while back. At the same time, there were questions about how do we raise this to be a bigger fund? How do we grow this to do more proactive versions of preservation? And so today we're so happy that we're able to announce that we are having all these things and all these questions answered in a way on a small scale for now, but it really addresses some of these questions that have been raised for years and years and years. And so we're happy to do our part to help with that. And as is mentioned, Metro Louisville does have a home repair program that can be combined with this, and that's more aimed at low to moderate income. And what we're announcing today, it differs from that. I'm going to explain it a little bit. And this is aimed at properties that are on the National Register or those that are contributing to the National Register District. And so because of Louisville's long tradition of supporting historic preservation and the work done by previous generations, we now have around 15,000 of these sorts of properties in Louisville. And that includes great places found in Russell, but also thousands more are in the process of being listed in other areas like Chickasaw and Portland and all throughout Louisville. Thousands more coming online. And so we believe that with this program, combined with the historic tax credit programs, and Craig Potts, our State Historic Preservation Officer, is going to talk a little more about that in the future. We believe that combining what we're talking about today with the historic tax credit program will really help add value to this whole project. So some of our board members at Vital Sites have actually helped create the Historic Tax Credit Program. We're the first to use this program and have worked with the state on the review process and so on. And so we feel that we bring some expertise to use dollars that really have been underutilized in areas like West Louisville. So we're looking for creative ways to use an existing program that could add as much as $300,000 in value to this $1 million. And projects can include less visible things like roofs or HVAC systems, or the more visible things everybody can see from the front, the windows, the doors, the cornice work, and all of these things. And when this gets done, this really can add a great value to the neighborhood. Now, this is a revolving fund, and the idea of a revolving fund is that the funds will be used and then they will come back. So what we're talking about is very low interest loans. So typically, all the revolving funds are low interest, but in this case, we're talking about generally 1% to 2%, in a few cases even 0%. Simple interest loans, often with no payment due until the transfer or sale of the property. And this program is especially helpful right now when you're looking outside where there's 6% and 7% loans that are compounded and paid monthly. It's a big difference in what we're talking about here than what you can typically get financed. And there are other differences that I won't get into. There's a lot of detail in this, but some goals here include saving our history and authenticity for our future, just as was mentioned. But it's to help people stay in their homes and avoid some level of displacement. It's to assist new homeowners with repairs that they need to do with some of these structures. And over time, all this will help bolster neighborhood stability. If anybody out there is interested in this program, right now you can go to our site at vitalsites.org. We have a page set up and a form set up. It's real simple. You can fill it out and we'll be in touch. If you're not sure if your house is historic, if it's not a fit or not, we'll help you with that. So just reach out, contact us. It won't take but a minute or two, and we will be in touch with you. And now we're going to talk a little about what's going on behind us. We have many homes like this one, and then we have a lot of other smaller homes, shotguns and everything, that have these wonderful details and a lot of history all throughout Russell, all throughout West Louisville, and throughout Louisville. And we ran into Kayla and Gabe several months back talking about our state historic tax credit program. And they decided to use that program to get work started on this beautiful home. And we're so happy that they decided to use that and to get this house and to do the work that's needed to bring it back to life. And Kayla and Gabe, I don't know which one of y'all want to start talking, but appreciate what you're doing here, and thank you.
Good morning. Hello. We are so excited to be here with everyone on this momentous occasion. As Heath said, we met Heath and Charles pretty early on in our journey to restore this 1888 Victorian, and we are very grateful that we did. As the fourth family to care for this home in its 135-year history, we recognize the importance of being good stewards, not only of the structure of this home, but of the structure of this community. This loan fund will provide us and our neighbors with the amazing opportunity to give these homes the love and attention they need and deserve. Love and attention that for too long has been systematically withheld from the community and the people that constitute it. In designing this loan fund, Vital Sites has provided a timely resource as we are deemed ineligible for many other repair programs in the city. Despite the massive scale of this renovation, we have 52 windows, so you do the math. But therefore, we are so excited to use this opportunity in tandem with the Historic Preservation Tax Credit to polish up this gem of the Russell Historic District. In our research on the house, we actually found a letter of support written by Miss Gloria, the last person to live in and own this home, for the original application in 1980 to create the Russell Historic District. This is her letter of support saying, please create this district so we can get the funds that we need, signed by her. It was like such a full circle moment. So now we're able to use the Historic Preservation Tax Credit and the Vital Sites Loan Fund to save a piece of history. This was a very full circle moment for us. We used to sit outside this house right on the other side of that gate right there when it was empty. It was covered in vines and Virginia creeper on the front. You could barely tell there were windows and doors. It wasn't for sale, but we would talk about our hypothetical plans for it, our dreams for it, and little pitter-patter of feet running around in it. The joy of these imaginings, however, was tainted by the angst of watching it deteriorate a little more each time we saw it. And now we stand here in front of the house with the movers and shakers of historic preservation, excited and energized to continue this journey with the assistance of the Vital Sites Loan Fund. Thank you, and if you'd like to keep up with our journey and our progress, you can follow us on Instagram at Remaking a Mansion. I think Gabe has a few words to say, and go ahead.
I'll be very brief. I didn't write anything down. Hey, Mom, I'm at the podium. So I just wanted to shout out how this is an example of the way the community has showed up for us. We have designers we're working with, Natalie O Design here, Kayla's parents are here, all of you all are here. When the community works together, a lot of cool stuff can happen, but I do want to remind everybody that it can't be just us, right? Because so many people in the community need this and deserve this. And I want to say something really quickly. So when we got this house, we had to have it appraised to see what funds were available for us to fix it. And with the empirical evidence that says what happens when brown folks open the door for a house appraisal, we had to have somebody stand in for us and deal with that inhumanity, right? And they told us they would appraise it based on the completed value of the house if we showed them the plans of what we were going to do to the house. So we had the plans and we were so excited. And the appraiser walked in and he said, "What's the budget?" And the person who was standing in for us told him the budget, which was way too low in retrospect. And before he got any of the plans, he immediately said they're never going to get their money back. And at first that discouraged us. But then this house changed the way that we think about ownership, because every single thing that any of us own, we're going to leave behind, right? And so then it became about, what are we going to leave behind? So for all of us, what kind of communities are we going to leave behind? What kind of opportunities are we going to leave behind? What kind of love are we going to leave behind? And so with opportunities like this one, it is a real possibility for us to put this place back together and for this to be an example of our love for this community and the people in it that we can leave behind. And I really appreciate y'all. So.
So we next invite Craig Potts up to the podium. He is the director of the Kentucky State Historic Preservation Office.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Well, after just hearing that, there's really about nothing I can really say to convince you how important projects like this are, not only for individuals and individual families, but for entire neighborhoods, entire communities. That was heartfelt, it was passionate, and that puts fuel back in my tank as the State Historic Preservation Officer to hear compassion for a neighborhood like this and a community like this. I'd like to begin by thanking Mayor Greenberg and the City Preservation Office in Metro Louisville for all their work to promote historic preservation. Of course, I want to thank Christy Brown and the Owsley Brown II Foundation for their many years of support for historic preservation. Vital Sites, who has done incredible work, Heath Seymour and Charles Cash, who are great friends in preservation. And I want to commend the homeowners. This is not an easy project. They have basically told you that. These are hard, and the numbers don't always work so great. If you've ever driven past a historic building and you've wondered to yourself, why isn't anyone doing anything with that building? It's probably because the numbers don't work. And so what we've tried to do in partnership with the city and nonprofits is to help make those numbers work, to get these important historic resources put back into productive use. We need practical tools to do this that are accessible to citizens across the city. Two of the best tools in the preservation toolbox happen to be historic preservation tax credits and revolving loan funds. And the establishment of this revolving loan fund, paired with the state historic rehabilitation tax credit, helps to make the numbers work and helps to get properties like this functioning again and filled with activity and family lives, and that's what we want to see. For those who are not aware, the Commonwealth of Kentucky has drastically increased the state historic tax credit program. Previously, we had $5 million to give away as an incentive for projects across the state. That was raised in the 2021 session. Now we have $100 million in tax credits to provide. And the per project cap was also raised extensively. What that means is we have $25 million set aside specifically for homeowners of historic resources, and that's a 30% rehabilitation tax credit. So you'll get 30% back on all qualifying expenses. And by qualifying expenses, that means anything that goes into the structure that makes it habitable and useful for modern purposes. So it's not just the decorative details. It's not just the historic windows. It's also the heating, ventilation, air conditioning. It's the electrical. It's the plumbing. It's the things that put this back into productive use. I'm excited to have been invited to talk with you all today. I think this is a catalytic opportunity to get the message out. More homeowners in neighborhoods like Russell, which, by the way, this neighborhood was listed on the National Register in 1979, to get more homeowners to use the credit to get these buildings repaired. I also just quickly want to say that this is a perfect example of a local, state, federal partnership. And the Certified Local Government Program that we administer is working the way it should, because you have a nonprofit that's working with local government, that's working with state government, that's working with the federal government. And those federal funds, there's also a federal tax credit that piggybacks on our state tax credit. Those federal funds are also helping to go into identify and list additional properties in places like Portland and Chickasaw that Heath Seymour was referencing earlier, so that they're also eligible for these financial incentives. There's a lot to look forward to. This is a really exciting time, particularly for neighborhoods like this, and we're very excited to be a part of it. That concludes my comments. Now I'd like to welcome Councilwoman Purvis to the podium.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank the speakers before me for making this a possibility. Passing any of these old structures, you don't really have a lot of hope. And I want to say I'm so proud of Gabe and Kayla for taking on this project. Most young people, they want to move into something that's already ready to move in. They don't want to put in the work. And these guys are phenomenal. If we had 1,000 more of Gabes and Kayla, look, yeah, can you imagine what this community would be like? And I just want to say to those that give these types of structures, give it a second thought. There are incentives to live here. You have support from the state, local government. So don't pass up these opportunities. Talk about wealth building. If I could inherit such a house, boy, would I be in the business. But I want to say to these young homeowners that are looking to live somewhere, you have beautiful bones and structure here. You can do anything with these properties. You can make them the properties that you desire. So I want to say thanks to Gabe and Kayla for bringing hope back to this neighborhood. And don't give up on us. And I noticed you all mentioned Portland and Chickasaw and Russell. Don't forget about Shawnee, another beautiful community that has lovely homes that a lot of them are due for a makeover. And I just want to impress on the fact that I would like to see more home occupancy. So I'm just throwing that out there. Come back to the neighborhoods. Thank you.